Hey, what's up, everybody? Steve Schwartz here from LSAT Unplugged, joining you today to share how long you should study for the LSAT. It might seem strange, but your LSAT score weighs more heavily in the law school admission process than your undergraduate GPA does, even though you earn your GPA over the course of typically 4 years, but the LSAT could be just a single day. So keep that in mind when I recommend taking more than just a month or two to study for the LSAT if you want to maximize your potential. A lot of students try to knock it out in just 2 to 3 months, but in my experience, it may take closer to 5 to 6 months to reach your fullest potential on the LSAT, and it's well worth it considering just how important the LSAT score is in the admission process. Additionally, if you feel that your undergraduate GPA does not reflect your true potential, if you goofed off in undergrad or had family issues that got in the way, or you were just overloaded and stressed, don't worry. The longer you've been out of school, the less your undergraduate GPA matters, and the more you can make a massive impact with your LSAT score. Now, if you're applying to law school this cycle and you have just a few months left to get your applications in, you may feel that you can only put in another month or two in order to avoid being too late. However, I want to recommend for you regarding law school admissions timelines, the January LSAT is not too late. The February LSAT also is not too late. And so you can give yourself more time if you feel that you need it. However, if you feel like a few more months may not be enough for you to reach your goal score or the score that you think you're capable of, it may be worth waiting until next cycle and applying at the beginning in the fall, considering again just how important that LSAT score is. It's worth putting in 3, 4, 5, 6 months if that's what you feel it would take. I have a framework underlying my LSAT study plans inside my LSAT Unplugged prep course called the LASER approach to LSAT prep. LASER is an acronym standing for Learning, Accuracy, Sections, Exams, and Review. I have other videos going over this in depth, so I'm not going to recap all of it here, but suffice it to say, you want to build the foundation first, then take individual timed practice tests, and finally wrap it all up with full-length timed exams. Of course, it'd be difficult to cram all of that into just a month or two. You might want to spend 3, 4, 5 months or longer if that's what you feel it would take to do it justice. The LSAT, of course, is a marathon, not a sprint, and there's a lot of material to learn. There are roughly 15 different types of logical reasoning questions alone, for example, and that logical reasoning section will have increased importance as the LSAT removes the logic game section and replaces it with a second scored logical reasoning section. So the importance of that logical reasoning section will then be doubled. So my answer to the general question titling this video, how long should you study for the LSAT, is of course, I'm recommending more time than you might have thought. I'm recommending closer to 5 to 6 months for the typical student who's starting from scratch. But we have some other considerations as well. We want to ask, for example, what's your starting score? What's your goal score? How much time do you have to devote on average per day and per week? I recommend at least 10 to 15 hours per week, if at all possible, in order to maintain forward momentum with your prep. And any less than that, you might get lost, your motivation might diminish. On the flip side, spending 40 to 50 hours per week is way too much and is a recipe for burnout. You want to find that sweet spot, ideally somewhere between 10 to 30 hours per week, 10 hours a week, assuming that you have other obligations like work and school, 30 hours a week if you have nothing but time on your hands and can devote yourself almost entirely to the LSAT. Fewer hours per week means you're going to want to study for the LSAT over several more months. If you have a lot more time to put in per week, you may be able to knock it out in fewer months. So to kind of frame you at opposite ends here, 10 hours per week devoted to LSAT prep, maybe you want to spend closer to 5 to 6 months of studying. If you have up to 30 hours a week to devote to LSAT prep, you may be able to knock it out in just 3 months. But again, a lot depends on where you're starting and what your goals are. If you're aiming for a 170 plus, which I recommend you do, because that will open the door to T14 law schools, for example, or get you significant scholarship money or both, you may want to put in more than 3 months, even if you have that 30 hours a week to devote. Imagine what you could do with 30 hours a week plus 5 months of LSAT prep. These are the gunners, and these are the folks who often end up with those 170 plus LSAT scores. So I'm just leaving you with some food for thought there. Anyway, folks, that's all for now. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please do me a favor and share it with someone who needs to see it. I don't do any advertising for this channel. I rely only on word of mouth to help get the word out. and your sharing this video really does make a big difference. Maybe you know someone who's considering what's their target LSAT test date, how much time should they put in per week, and this video could help them figure it out. And if you haven't already, get a copy of my book, Mastering the LSAT, available at lsatmasterybook.com to help you jumpstart your prep. In the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.